What I do, golf fans? Welcome back to the Turn Dogs Golf Podcast. This is Liam. Alongside me is Jack. Jack, we had a week in golf. Let's just call it that. Let's not say a great week in golf. Let's not say a good week in golf. It was the Zurich. It was partners golf, if that's the kind of shtick you're into. But what'd you think of the week?
Um,
You described the week well. I completely agree with you.
let's be honest. This was a week that I think I'm not trying to start a Live PGA Tour thing. You guys can all debate that on your end, but like this is a week that Live was salivating over because they had their party hole. Granted, they almost killed a caddy, but they had their party hole, their spectacle. They had all the outlets out on a week that who in the world turned it on and was like, ooh, I'm gonna go watch the Zurich Classic and crack open a beer. Okay, listen, obviously it was me, but outside of me, like what normal person was like, ooh, Zurich Classic, and you turn it on and you watch Mark Hubbard contend for a title. No offense to Mark Hubbard, I like Mark Hubbard, but like I think we all understand the sentiment I'm making here.
Yeah, I mean, the only exciting thing about Sunday at the Zurich was the fact that Rory was basically in contention.
That was the only reason I was watching.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only reason anybody was watching. Outside of him, there was really no like maybe big names in the top 10 outside of maybe Dietrich and McIntyre, but even they hadn't been playing that well. And I only told you to bet them because I thought they were going to do well in the Ryder Cup in the future, which hopefully you guys listened to what I said and didn't actually follow my lineups. But outside of Rory and Shane Lowry, who again, congrats on them winning. Nicely done. They beat what, Martin Trainer and Chad
Ramey, baby,
in the playoffs. I mean,
hey, don't disrespect Chad Ramey. That guy's got the worst hairline of all time. He's got it coming to him.
Okay, well there you go.
Did you not know Chad Ramey's hairline?
I feel like I've heard stories of Chad Ramey's hairline at this point.
When you upload this, for anybody that's still watching on Spotify, we upload this to YouTube. I am going to post, I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. Somehow I'm going to edit and I'm going to put the picture of Chad Ramey's hairline like somewhere right here, maybe right here, maybe right here. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. It'll be there.
Oh, well, you mean I'm going to do that because, I'm the one that edits these videos.
Yeah,
so that means
I'm pen and paper. But anybody that follows along on Twitter or TikTok or basically anything other than YouTube or Spotify or wherever you get your freaking podcasts, that's me. Liam does the rest of this. I almost swore stuff. I am so done today.
Hey, I'm gonna try my best to get a photo of Chad Ramey up. You'll probably see it here in between us somehow. Outside of that, was there any surprising names just that maybe like missed the cut or didn't do very well? Because I'll tell you, like Zalatoris and Thagala is the one that stands out for me. Even though they made the cut, I think Cantlay and Xander was a brutal week. I don't think they played as good as they thought they could have. But anything else specifically kind of stand out to you?
I mean, Garrick Higo played 4 rounds of a tournament.
Woo, go Garrick.
Good for him. No, I'm going to be honest. I swear I barely watched. I watched more Live. I watched some college golf. I watched NFL Draft was obviously over the weekend. Liam and I played TPC Deer Run where they have the John Deere Classic over the weekend. So it was actually perfect because I could care less about this tournament. I didn't even make a lineup. I had 2 bets. It was awesome. I love Deer Run. It was actually in great condition considering that we had a 2-hour rain delay and thunderstorms and 40-mile-an-hour wind. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it was an interesting time. I'll cruise through it real quick. I made a DraftKings lineup. I normally we put it in a way higher value tournaments. I put mine in a $1 double up entry just to see for the week to basically have something on something, just to have some sort of an action. Most of my guys missed the cut. I had Zalatoris and Thagala, they missed the cut. I had McNeely and Hoagie, they missed the cut. I had Taylor Moore and Matt Neesmith, they missed the cut. I had Matt Ty Schmidt and Alex Smalley, they missed the cut. I had Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin, they finished 10th. And then my flyer, who I didn't project to even make the cut, I projected the other guys too. Charlie Hoffman and Nick Watney finished T11. So if that tells you how that week went, Hopefully you guys, managed to piece together some nice wins in terms of DraftKings lineups. There was no FanDuel. Again, Jack didn't end up doing a DraftKings lineup or submitting one, I should say.
Well, I did do a lineup. It was on the dock at one point. I don't see it anymore. It was amazing. It won in every single bracket. I don't know even know who I put.
Yeah, I think Jack was probably a little better than me because I think everybody played a little better than me last week. But again, who cares? All right, and then we go to bets last week. You had two bets. How'd they do?
I had two bets, and let me tell you, I said not to follow my fake lineup. I didn't submit. Couldn't tell you how it did because I didn't submit it. I didn't even put. Liam said he put it in $1. I didn't even put it in $1. Like that's how little confidence I had. I told you not to make my bets. We went 1-1 on bets, going up 0.1 units on the week because we're rock stars. First one was Cantley Shoffley top 20 in run one, which we both thought would be the easiest green money in the pocket we've ever seen. That lost. They finished 24th. And then I had the 5 versus the field. And if it wasn't for Rory McIlroy, I would not have tuned in on Sunday because that was one of the pairings in that 5 field. They were plus 110 to win it, so it won me 1.11 units. And I lost one, so up 0.1 units on the week. And listen, I know what you're thinking, 0.1 units. At the end of the day, if you bet like I do, 0.1 units is still pretty good. And anytime we make profit is green, baby. So we're now up 26.48 units overall, and we're still in April, guys. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, profit on a week where respectfully we're not really betting all that much, and we're trying to do our best just to get to the following week. Positive numbers are nice. As far as my bets go, I had 3 last week. The one that lost was the Xander and Cantlay round 1 top 10. I took their top 10 odds because I thought they'd play great. Didn't work out. Again, they missed, I think, like three putts with inside.
That was shocking.
8 feet or maybe 10 feet.
Shocking.
On Thursday. So if they made those 3 putts, they would have been inside the top 10. My 2 winners were Alex and Matt Fitzpatrick, top 20 at minus 120. And I took Rory and Shane Lowry, top 10 at plus 105, which they ended up winning. So that was nice. So 2 for 3 plus 0.88 units on the week. So I'm currently 4.82 units up on the year.
How is this the week you go positive?
Hey, you know what? We will go with it. We are not going to ask any questions. Again, I think the Masters hurt me a little bit, but we are back up right around that 5 units positive, right where I like to hang out. So that is fine by me. Winners last week. How'd your winners do?
Terrible. We had Cantlay and Shoffley, which I was pretty confident in. They finished 23rd. And then I was like, I'm never going to use Maverick McNeely or Tom Hoagie as winners, so I might as well throw them in there, and they missed the cut. Shocking.
Yikes. Okay, well, I did a little bit better with my winners picks. I had Matt and Alex Fitzpatrick, who finished T12, and I had Thomas Dietrich and Robert McIntyre, who finished T8. So pretty good week for my winners, all things considered. Hopefully you guys didn't have to use Matt Fitzpatrick, and you could use some version of the other 3 guys on your winners pick somehow. But yeah, I mean, 2 top 12s in a 66-person field where you got the randomness that did occur. I'm quite happy with it. So, wild card picks, how'd you do?
Yeah, I had Bryce Garnett and Sepp Straka top 10, and they finished 11th. I wanted to cry.
I had Matt and Alex Fitzpatrick top 10 and plus 200. They finished 12th, and that was tough as well.
Yeah, because you guys know I don't put a full unit on this by any means, and let me tell you, for the Zurich Classic, I didn't put anywhere else to a sprinkle, but I had like a quarter of a sprinkle on this one, so I was a little disappointed, but it is what it is.
Yep. All right, thank God we're off that event. Again, not a good week. Jack and I are not fans of that event personally, but I understand why they do it.
Why wouldn't they do the LPGA Tour or some form of that? Because I think there's an event. I can't remember what it is offhand that they do PGA Tour, LPGA Tour.
It's the Grant Thornton, I want to say.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's awesome. I could care less about the Zurich Classic.
It'd be fun if they did that twice a year instead of the Zurich Classic once and then the Grant Thornton another time. But
let me tell you, if I wasn't working on Thursday and I wasn't working on Sunday and Rory McIlroy was not in competition in my bets, wouldn't have watched.
Yeah, 1,000%. I agree. All right, well, let's move on to the following week. This week we are going to the CJ Cup at the Byron Nelson at Craig Ranch, which is it's getting up there with the Cognizant in terms of bad names. Is that an accurate representation of my of
I think
the
though, growing up, I've never called it. I know it was formerly AT&T Byron Nelson. I've always called it, and everybody in my circle has always called it the Byron Nelson.
yeah.
So
Uh,
I,
uh, uh, I'm just saying as an official full name that is not only a tongue twister, but that is up there in terms of the Cognizant Classic for
terrible.
tough names to have a tournament be called, because they took the CJ Cup and the Byron Nelson and they merged them into one event, right? Isn't that kind of what they did?
All I know is it's just horrific. And if somebody pulls up like Xfinity and sees CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, they're like, "What the heck is this?"
Yeah.
They just need to call it the Byron Nelson or Byron. Sorry, guys. I cannot stress the day I've had, and I'm officially on painkillers. I don't know. I'm not wearing a shooter sleeve. I come on Thursday or Friday with Liam at TPC Deer Run. I tore my elbow completely off the bone. Not tore my elbow.
Tore the ligament.
I
He
swear I need to go home.
the painkillers are struggling a little bit for Jack.
Painkillers, and I'm drinking, which is
We
don't do this at home.
we will move on and just let you go. So this event is a par 72 totaling 7,460 yards. Last year's winner was Jason Day. In terms of things to look for at this event, this event has only been played at Craig Ranch for 3 years now.
Used to be in
So if
Texas.
it used to be, well, it is in Texas, but it's just played on a different course.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm
I
gonna
knew
mute
what you.
myself.
Yep. You're good. You're good. We're gonna get you through this, Jack. No worries. So again, now this is played at Deer Ranch, at TPC Craig Ranch, but that only has happened since 2021. So when you look into basically history on this course, don't look past 2021 because it's really not going to be relevant. Um, when you look at these last 3 years, it was a massive birdie fest and a putting contest. Scores were ranging in terms of like 25 to almost 30 under par for the winner, which just means that you're going to need somebody that's going to have really good capabilities, make lots of birdies. Some of the highlights in terms of things that you'll need: birdie opportunities, approach, driving accuracy, and a streaky putter. It's pretty much it. If you have those, four things, you have a good chance to win this week. In terms of history, KH Lee is kind of in a class of its own in terms of course history. He won the first 2 years, so before Jason Day won last year. He finished T50 last year, but he's going to be first in course history. The rest of the top 10 in course history is, and again, this is since 2021. Jordan Spieth, Adam Scott, Ryan Palmer, Sung Kang, Scott Piercy, Stephen Yeager, Seamus Power, Joseph Bramlett, and Alex Noren. Now you might sit there and think Ryan Palmer and Sung Kang, they are actually both members at TPC Craig Ranch, which is an interesting thing to account for. Some of the guys playing this event are members here, which might count for that extra little amount of bonus points if you're trying to decide between two guys.
Yeah, Ryan Palmer specifically, his average finish here is exactly 20. So
yeah,
it's pretty dang good.
It's again solid player for sure in terms of an option if you want somebody that has definitely played this course, a few times. Outside of that, let's get into the DraftKings lineups. Now it's a little funky if I'm right, Jack. That the 10K range is a little bit loosely defined because isn't there 4 names up here in the 10K range? I'm sorry, I'm pulling it up now.
Well, there's 3 names, and it's Will Zalatoris, Jason Day, and Jordan Spieth. So I think, honestly, Jordan Spieth is the only guy I feel confident in. We've always talked about Will Zalatoris. He's had one event that I can remember of, and it's been this year in the last 2 years, barring an injury, that Will Zalatoris has actually been successful in a low-scoring event. So for me, $10,000 is crazy for Will Zalatoris. Jason Day has been as streaky as physically possible. Granted, he obviously is the defending champion and did well at the Masters and the RBC. Jordan Spieth for me, obviously, in this event, I know it only goes back 3 years, but he does have 2 top 10s, including a runner-up. And I think since he's had time to heal since the Masters, where he re-aggravated his wrist injury, and he finished top 40 at the RBC, which is a good course for him. He's had 2 weeks off, or a week off. No, yeah, 2 weeks off, where he can come back, and I think he's going to be fully healthy. And I think for a number one guy, only being 10,900 is not the worst price, honestly.
The only challenge is there's a reason why he's only 10,900. Yes, he has the course history here, but if you look at his recent form, Jordan Spieth has lost strokes on approach in 4 of his last 5 starts, which he hasn't done in 3 years since he had that like really, really rough stretch for a little while. He's also lost strokes around the green in each of his last 5 starts, so he's by no means coming in on elite level form. This is really relying on Jordan Spieth plays well in Texas. Jordan Spieth has played well here previously, and less on the fact that Jordan is currently an elite golfer. Because admittedly, he's not right now. He's just not there. You kind of commented on it as well. Will Zalatoris is not really a good week for him. He does best on bogey avoidance courses and not necessarily on birdie machine courses. He just won't make enough birdies to really contend in like the top 10 when the winner is going to get to him 25 to 30 under par. Do I think he's going to make the cut and everything else? Yes, but again, if you're paying $10,000 in terms of DraftKings dollars for a guy who's the 3rd highest guy in the field, I think there is opportunity to potentially want more.
Will Zalatoris is not shooting 66 4 days in a row.
Yeah, I think some of the guys in the 9K range give you more upside, basically, in simple terms. I personally, if it comes to me, I'm probably avoiding this entire 10K range, all 3 guys. I think it makes sense. And again, if you want to go Spieth, if you want to take that chance, I don't blame you. But again, it's an inherent risk, and you should know.
Well, the only 2 times, you take a look at him coming into the Masters, where he finished 10th at Valero. He re-aggravated his wrist, and then outside of one hole where he just completely melted down on in the hole after, where he was just aggravatedly pissed, he has, granted, missed the cut at the Masters. I understand that, but that was basically 1.5 holes that cost him that entire tournament. Finished top 40 at RBC Heritage, where there's a big showing of names that I don't think anybody expected to come out and pop off like they did. I think 2 weeks off, having the Zurich, just watching, probably chilling on the couch, letting his wrist heal up, not playing golf like 12 days in a row.
Yeah,
he's probably good for Spieth. And again, number one 2 weeks ago was Scotty Scheffler, and he was like 13K. So 10,900 for the number one guy in the field is not a terrible price. Granted, I know it's streaky, and I know it's not like a top 5 player in the world, but it's not bad.
Can I be honest that I think the best overall player based on statistics in this field isn't in this 10K range?
I agree.
Okay. All right. Just checking. Seeing if you and I are on the same boat there. Yeah, again, I think Spieth's the guy to go to if you want to go to somebody in this 10K range. Don't feel obligated to. Into the 9K range we go. Let's go Siwoo Kim at 9,800 all the way down to Tom Kim at 9,000.
Yeah, so I think Siwoo Kim, in my mind, is the number one guy.
Okay.
I think that for him specifically, I know cut's not the biggest factor here because he's going to do fine. He's 11 for 11 on cuts, only with 1 top 10 with an average of 63. But his worst finish in the last 4 weeks is 33rd. And inside of that, if you're taking a look at top 25s, he's done this, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times already this year in 11 starts. This guy's going to score. He's got great approach play. If we're talking about streaky putters, he's up there. So I like him this week, and I think he's got a chance.
You want somebody who's a better, more consistent putter who's even had better finishes than Siwoo?
Bring it.
Alex Noren. So he's gained in every statistical category in each of the last 5 starts. That's off the tee, approach, around the green, putting, short game, etc., ball striking. So he's gained in all 5 of them. geez. Oh, and his finishes during those last 5 starts range from T23 to T9. So again, I don't know in terms of the other like 5 starts he's had on the year, but he has similar stats there to Siwoo, and he's also a more consistent putter at a $300 cheaper price. The other issue I kind of find with Siwoo is that he's lost strokes putting in 5 of his last 6 starts. Now he has the elite irons, which maybe you could argue that Alex Noren doesn't have elite level irons. But I think it's kind of a risk of, do you play Siwoo, who has the streakier putter, or do you play Alex Noren, who might have slightly lower value irons, but I think a way higher putter. It's the give and take.
I don't know. I like Siwoo Kim. I think that since this event is played on an event that can get really, really deep in terms of scoring, obviously the greens have to hold some form of spin. And that's what these major iron players have the ability to do. And I think K.H. Lee and Jason Day both proved that in the success here, and especially Ryan Palmer, who can generate a ton of spin. So I think Siwoo Kim has an ability to expose that. And I mean, I'm not discrediting Alex Noren, because if you take a look at his stats, I think he's finished top 20 both times, or maybe just outside, like 21st or something like that.
Yep.
But he's done well here at this event. To me, why in the world is number one Min-Woo Lee here, and why in the world is Sung J M? Granted, I know he's sponsored by the host.
So I know why Sung J M is here, and it won't pop up because, again, DraftKings is weird. Sung J M actually won last week on the Korean tour, which means basically absolutely nothing in terms of PGA Tour setup, and nobody will know that. But he has played better the last 3 weeks. So it is something to keep an eye on. Now, again, am I getting to Sung J M? Absolutely not. I don't think this is a week to rely on him, but he has started to kind of turn the corner in terms of that absolutely atrocious start of the year. So it is something to kind of keep an eye on, maybe for, 3 weeks out from now, if he continues to improve. But again, I think that DraftKings is almost trying to get ahead of the game by ranking him highly priced, and I don't think he's at that point yet. Min-Woo Lee, I don't understand. Again, he's going to make a cut, but I don't know if he necessarily fits this setup perfectly. He doesn't have the best driving accuracy, and so I think at 9,400, he's an interesting choice. I would probably swap him with Tom Hoge at the bare minimum. Tom Hoge ranks top 5 in strokes gained approach, proximity, birdies are better gained, and strokes gained putting. He also did go to school at TCU, if you want to be like really finicky and be like, he's in the Texas area. He went to school in Texas. Like, there's a lot of semantics with Hoge that you could do, but he rates out really well here. I think Hoge is probably a cheaper version of Siwoo Kim or Min-Woo Lee this week, and I would prefer him.
Yeah, and Tom Hoge has also been on a dynamite streak outside of the players. He's hit top 20 in 4 of his last 5, or excuse me, let me rephrase that. 6 of his last 7 starts. So
yeah, he's on a heater. So again, I think Hoge and Noren are top of this 9K range in terms of class for sure. Just some other updates on a couple guys. Adam Scott has been struggling each of his last 5 starts with approach, and his short game has basically saved him in terms of making the cut. If you see it, it looks better than it actually is. He has 3 top 10s, but it's not pretty top 10s. This guy is holding on for dear life, basically scraping through top 10s. And then Steven Yeager, he's lost strokes gained putting in 5 of his last 6 starts. That being said, he has won during that span because he won in Houston, which is crazy. He's also posted multiple top 20s. So he can win while losing strokes putting, which is super funky, meaning he's still an option this week. But he's not the first guy I would go to in a putting contest by any means.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. This is so interesting because, not to change players, obviously, but Min-Woo Lee.
Yep.
Min-Woo Lee is so confusing because you take a look at Min-Woo Lee. The events that he's done well at are not events that get to 30 under. I love Min Woo Lee, him Woo Lee. If you follow him on social media, that guy's awesome. He's hilarious. He's got the best, worst mustache in history. He's awesome. He's never made a cut here.
Yeah.
He's losing shots. Basically, if I pull up my little database here, every single spot except off the tee. Approach, he's losing almost 3 shots around. Total, he's losing 2.5 shots around on the field. Granted, this is a weaker field than arguably in history, just because with the elevated events are pulling a lot of the top players at. There's no way he should be priced this high. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love Min Woo Lee.
No, I completely agree. All right. With that, are we down to get into the 8K range?
Yeah. Also, one more thing. Don't sleep on Tom Kim this week.
Yeah, the length of the course might be a little bit of a challenge, but if he can overcome that, he's got the accuracy off the tee, he's got the irons to do well, and the putter can, again, be hit or miss. So I totally understand it. So, all right, into the 8K range we go. We're starting with Cashmere Keith Mitchell, all the way down to Jake Knapp at 8,000. Wow, he's still 8K. That's insane. Okay.
Let me just make one comment really quickly, and I'll let you take over. Mackenzie Hughes has been playing, and I know I've made this statement a lot about some other golfers, especially I think Shane Lowry at the end of last year, the quietest, best golf, maybe outside of Tom Hoagie on the PGA Tour. Guy has missed 1 cut on the year, and if we take a look, that was in February at Mexico, which could not be farther of a course comp from Craig Ranch. Since he's missed a cut, he's finished top 40 every single time, 3rd at Valspar. His worst finish since then is 39th at RBC Heritage. This guy is dominated with an average fantasy point of almost 68 points. So this guy's going to make the cut number 1. And if you're giving me that, I love it. I mean, I always talk about 7,500 and make the cut. This guy is pretty much guaranteed at this rate to be a top 40, which is giving me a lot more points than that. I love it.
Yeah, Mackenzie Hughes is an interesting choice. I do think this is potentially a good spot for Cashmere Keith Mitchell. He's not great around the green. He's lost strokes around the green in each of his last 9 starts. It's just not where he excels. These are really big greens here, though, at Craig Ranch. And if you take away that portion of his game, you have an elite player who's elite off the tee, who's gained 10 straight weeks off the tee, as well as 10 straight weeks on approach. And he has a streaky putter. I mean, basically half the weeks he gains 2 or 3 strokes putting and he finishes top 10. Half the weeks he loses a couple strokes putting and he finishes like T40.
But he's awesome.
And if that's your marker, where you have a guy who has a chance to finish, top 10, top 15, if his putter finds him, or top 40 if his putter doesn't find him, I'm okay willing to give that a chance. So I like that out of Keith Mitchell this week. I will also talk about Maverick McNeely at 8,200. He's been great off the tee. His big weakness has kind of been the approach play. It's been inconsistent, but once he finds his way onto the green, he's really been kind of great. He's gained strokes putting in 6 of his last 7 starts. Now, again, there's no Zurich data on that, so I don't know. He probably lost strokes putting on Zurich, likely. So maybe it's 6 of 8, but Zurich's a whole other mess. We're just going to leave it out of it and say 6 out of the last 7, statistically recorded starts. So I think Maverick McNeely is a solid choice there as well.
Yeah, I think he's good. I love Maverick McNeely, Stanford kid. Obviously, he's great at golf, and I think these lower tier events is where I'm targeting him because we saw that Sunday nerves come in. K.H. Lee, I think, is going to be very owned. Obviously, 2 champion. But in his last 5 starts, he's had 2 finishes outside 130th place. Caution alert. Do not bite it. I'm telling you.
Look, he may do well. This is a TPC course. The TPC Lee metric does still apply. If you guys remember that from way back when, TPC Lee is the nickname or one of the nicknames for KH Lee that we came up with because for whatever reason, regardless if I was playing the rest of the year, when it comes to a TPC course, KH Lee seems to find his game. So
for whatever reason,
it doesn't make any sense. There's no specific correlation on it other than the fact that it's TPC courses. So there's a lot of inherent risk on KH Lee, but if you don't pick him, there's still a chance that he still might do well. But you just have to be comfortable knowing you can't go back to it. So Patrick Rogers is right above him, 8,400. Looks like he has withdrawn this week, so make sure to get him out of your lineup. And then Jake Knapp only does good when he can, basically blow the ball off the tee, left or right, and not run into any issues there. So the fact that this is a course that requires driving accuracy basically makes Jake Knapp a no-go for me. Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rise, the streakiest putter of all time, so we are going to avoid him. And I like a guy in the 7K over basically those bottom two guys.
Bring it.
All right, 7,900, Davis Thompson, all the way down to, oh, wow, 7K keeps going. Ben Martin at 7,000. First guy has got to be Davis Thompson. He is 100% one of the best options in this range. He's got great driving distance, great approach, can gain strokes with the putter. He's also got 3 top 25 finishes in his last 4 starts. It just feels like he's in a strange spot here at 7,900. There's almost a little bit of disrespect. I'm okay with it. I love him at this price. I think he's going to do great this week.
Yeah, I think that Davis Thompson obviously has kind of had a weird career since he contended with Jon Rahm for that title and kind of blew it at the end.
Yep.
Also, stop wearing the yellow shirt on Sundays. That's Hideki Matsuyama. Stop wearing it. He's interesting. I personally really like Ben Griffin this week. Ooh. I know that's a hot take since he's becoming more of a TikToker than a golfer, it seems. But let me just tell you, since he missed the cut at the Players, this guy has been on a tear, finishing 4 in a row inside the top 40, including a 14th at Corrales. I think this guy is finally coming into form in his game. And again, I always say 7,500, make a cut. You're giving me $200 more, and I'm guaranteeing myself at a higher percentage, a top 40. I really like that personally. I think he's finally coming into his game. Obviously, the caution is short game and putter. But again, at this course, the greens are so large. Obviously, some of that is mitigated. So I think at 7,700, it's honestly a reasonable price for Ben Griffin.
Yeah, Ben Griffin is an interesting option. Again, yeah, the putter can be streaky with him. If you want the guy who is best on par 5s in terms of making birdies, it's actually Thorbjorn Olesen in terms of in the field. Again, 7,600. That's kind of Jack's guy. Now, again, there is inherent risk with Thorbjorn because you don't know if you're getting 144th Thorbjorn Olesen or if you're getting 24th Thorbjorn Olesen. So keep that in mind. A really popular kind of, people are saying it's a sneaky play. I don't know how much of a sneaky play it truly is. It feels like people might be trying to reach for fool's gold. Peter Quest, he's known for his driving distance. He ranks first in the field in that category. He averaged 320 yards off the tee. He also ranks top 10 in strokes or in proximity from 200 plus yards out and strokes gained putting in the field. Which could be interesting. Now, again, his accuracy isn't necessarily there. I think that this is something that it's like he hits the ball really far on a long course, and he can be a streaky putter. I don't know if that's the metric I want to follow. It could work, but do you really want to attach yourself to that when Sam Stevens is also 7,500, and this is a guy that is basically a long course merchant? The guy just guarantees himself once it comes to long courses that he's going to figure out how to hit a golf ball there. There's no fancy way to get around it. He just plays better on courses over 7,200 yards. So
it's interesting. I don't know if that's the first guy I'd target based on name recognition, but
Sam Stevens?
No, sorry, Peter Quest.
Oh no, when I was doing research, for whatever reason, people were like, Peter Quest could be a sneaky option this week, and I'm like, the fuck kind of sneaky option is Peter Quest? He just hits the ball a country mile, but it doesn't matter if he hits the ball.
Pod, rated R language.
It doesn't matter if he hits the ball a country mile. If it goes 6 fairways over to the left or right, trust me, I know all about it. I do it quite frequently on a golf course. I can still make triple, no problem.
That's not a flex.
Oh, I'm well aware it's not a flex, which is why I don't understand why people are so heavily invested in Peter Quest this week. One other guy who's also out this week is Charlie Hoffman. He withdrew. So keep that in mind. If you want somebody who's a streaky putter, Taylor Montgomery's a good option, but he hasn't played well the last 2 weeks. So I think that could be interesting as well. I think Robert McIntyre could be incredibly interesting at 7,300. He's one of the best par five scorers in the field, which will be huge this week. His putter's also come back into form. He's gained strokes putting in each of his last 3 starts. And again, at 7,100, I think he was like 8,600 at some points last year. So it just tells you that there is room for him to get back up to that form he was at previously.
Yeah, I agree. The only other guy that I want to target in the 7K range is Matthijs Schmid. One of my guys. He's German, although he sucks here at Craig Ranch, so caution to the wind. He has top 30 in 5 of his last 6 starts. So he's been finding something that's really, really well. And I love momentum versus course history outside of Augusta National. And I think that he could be a really sneaky play at 7,200. If he could just make the cut, he's going to win us money. So I really like that play. And he's got 2 top 10s on the year. So I think he's got the capability to score.
Last guy I'll mention, Seamus Power, 7,900. He's never finished worse than T20 since his course moved to Craig Ranch. He's been streaky with his putter the past 4 starts and has made 8 of his last 9 cuts with 5 top 31s. I think like 2 months ago, he might have been the Stone Min price, and now he's 7,900. So he's definitely moving up. The challenge is, at what point are you getting him at the peak of his value? This may be it. There may be some room to grow. Maybe you go one more weekend with Seamus Power, and if you're going to do it, this is probably the week to take that chance. Cool. Into the 6K range we go. We're starting with, let's just start with Johnny Vegas. I feel like I never talk about. No, let's start with Chandler Phillips at 6,900. All the way down to, oh my gosh, is that Derek Jeter? Nope, it's Jared Jeter. There we go. Jared Jeter.
Oh my gosh.
There are some interesting names this week. Puerto Rico is actually a quote-unquote comp course if you dig into those metrics. Bryce Garnett, 6,800, did win at Puerto Rico. So if you want to go down that route, good luck is all I can say.
Technically, he was in a playoff with Eric Barnes, too, so you could go Eric Barnes.
Could go Eric Barnes. The name I like is actually Henrik Norlander, who's 6,400. I think he's probably just one of the better options out there. He's top 50 in both driving accuracy and approach. He's also 3 for 4 in making the cut this year. And he made a cut in a weaker field like Puerto Rico, which again is similar to Craig Ranch. Is it a flashy play? No. Are you kind of just looking for a made cut out of Norlander at that point? Yeah, basically. Like, it's not pretty. So sorry, he's not 6,400. He's 6,500. But you knew what I was going for. So
yeah. There's one guy I like in here personally. His name is Taiga Semikawa, world number 1 AM previously. He just finished 23rd at the Japanese Championship. The guy, he shot 8 under over the course of 4 days, only 9 shots back. But by the way, dominated, like 3rd place. He was only 4 shots back, so it's not like that big of a spread. The guy just dominated. He honestly, in my opinion, is one of the better options down here in 6,600. On the World Tour, he seems to play a lot better on the PGA Tour, but I think this course allows his strengths to kind of open up, and I think he could definitely make the cut. And that's what I'm kind of going for it here at 6,600. So he can be a diamond in the rough.
There you go. You know what I just realized? I think during Mexico, at the Mexico Open this week, I'm sorry, I'm looping back to this. Paul Barjan is 1 for 10 on making the cut. I think I took a bet against Paul Barjan the week in Mexico, and that's the 1 week he made the cut, and I lost that bet, which is insane to me. That is the 1 week he makes the cut, of course, when I bet against him. That's stupid.
Gotta love gambling.
Yeah, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Okay. All right. Again, this 6K range is really rough. So it sounds like Semikawa or Henrik Norlander are really probably your best, if not only, options. If you want to go with the putter route only, go Aaron Baddeley, 6,500 as well.
Okay, 6,500 no matter what tournament it is.
100%.
It could be his club championship at his home course. It'll be 6,500.
But again, Aaron Baddeley was somebody I actually initially had in my lineup, and I had to move him out because I like Norlander a little bit better. But again, if you want to go that route, that's fine too. Is this the event that Wesley Bryan's in because he won the YouTube creator tournament thing?
I think it's because that. I don't know. To be honest, I didn't watch the YouTube thing. I could have cared less. Those guys shot like a combined like 400 over. But I
It
think
was
it
probably
was
because he
for,
finished second in Puerto Rico.
yeah, it was for some other event that I think they did a qualifying for. I can't remember though.
Okay. All right. Well, no worries then. I think it might
But
have been
oh, you know what it was? It was Myrtle Beach Classic.
Myrtle Beach Classic. Okay, that makes sense.
That's in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something like that.
Yeah. I'm a little ahead of the game then. Got it. All right. Well, again, the 6K range is a very rough range to dig through. So we wish you the best of luck on that one if you don't follow our picks. With that, Jack, do you want to walk us through your FanDuel and DraftKings?
Yes, and I do have a lineup this week, ladies and gentlemen. So here we go. Starting off on DraftKings, we have Siwoo Kim at 9,800. I think his irons are just dominance. In comparison to the field, he's probably top 5 in iron play. Only competition really, at least at that range, is Alex Noren or Will Zalatoris in terms of ball striking. I have Tom Hoagie at 9,100, has been playing magically. Mackenzie Hughes at 8,600 has been the same. Maverick McNeely, who usually dominates at these B-plus level tier fields. I have Ben Griffin, who seems to found some lightning in a bottle here at 7,700. And then I'm taking Taiga Semikawa at 6,600 to round up my lineup, and I'm hoping he can make a cut.
Jack just likes to pick Taiga Semikawa because it sounds like tiger. I'm kind of convinced.
No, I like Taiga Semikawa because he's the former #1 amateur in the world, and some of us sometimes watch the Japan Golf Tour.
Well, there you go. That's fair. For my DraftKings lineup, if you're listening close, it'll be quite similar to the FanDuel lineup. I'm starting off with Alex Noren at 9,500. Then I'm going Tom Hoagie at 9,100. Cashmere Keith Mitchell at 8,800. Maverick McNeely at 8,200. Davis Thompson at 7,900. And Henrik Norlander at 6,400.
That is so interesting. You want to just go right into your FanDuel?
Yeah, FanDuel, again, very different from my DraftKings. Alex Noren, 11,100. Tom Hoagie, 10,800. Cashmere Keith Mitchell, 10,400. Maverick McNeely at 10,000. Davis Thompson, 9,700. And Henrik Norlander, 7,400.
My God, it's so weird that you got 12 different people in 2
I know.
lineups. That's crazy.
I know. Who'd have thunk? It's almost like I'm really big fans of those 6 guys this week.
We'll see. My FanDuel lineup, I did start off Jordan Spieth at 12,100. I do think that with the wrist injury recovery and this being a course in Texas, that I do think he can capitalize on that. Tom Hoagie, 10,800. I am taking a flyer on Tom Kim at 10,300. So I have Mackenzie Hughes, 9,900. Ben Griffin, 9,300. And then Taiga Semikawa at 7,300.
There you go. We will see how that works out for you. All right, into bets we go. How many bets you got for me this week? 15?
I
20?
have 5 bets that I really love. 3 are minuses. So 1 is Siwoo Kim at top 30 at -140. If you take a look at his stats, he's hit this in 5 straight and like 9 of his last 10. Like this guy's been on fire. Like I said, with the irons, I think that's going to be a really big factor, especially with these big greens that, green proximity is going to be really well. That's -140. I have Tom Kim at -140 for top 40. And I know what you're thinking. What in the heck are you betting Tom Kim for? His last 2 weeks have been good. I'm riding the momentum train. Relatively shorter course. I know it's technically a little long on some of these holes, but I think he could sneak out a top 40 here, especially with the field. I have Tom Hoagie top 40 at -138. Hoagie has 11 for 12 on cuts and is at top 40 all but 3 weeks in the entire year, and that's 12 starts. So he's 9 for 12. So I really like that number. Mackenzie Hughes top 40 at +115. Outside of Tom Hoagie, has probably played the quietest golf of anybody on the PGA Tour. He's 9 for 10, including a top 10. In his last 5 weeks, he's hit this number, so I'm riding momentum there. And then Matthai Schmidt at top 40 +160. I'm ignoring course history on Matthai Schmidt because he's found lightning in a bottle, and I'm hoping to smack that number at +160.
There you go. Yeah, there's some interesting plays there. I think Tom Kim is a risky one, but I understand it. I think Mackenzie Hughes will be a fun one, but I do like the Tom Hoagie one at top 40 at -138. That one, admittedly, I probably should have bet it, but it's okay. It's in your bets now, and if the fact that I'm not tailing it just means that it's guaranteed to hit.
Heck yeah.
All right, for my bets, I am doing 5 as well. I'm starting off Maverick McNeely, top 40 at plus 110. Then give me Alex Noren over Adam Scott at plus 100. Give me Robert McIntyre over Martin Laird at minus 125. Give me Sheamus Power, top 40 at plus 115. And then give me Davis Thompson, top 40 at plus 115. So I have 5 positive bets, but honestly, 3 of them don't really feel like they should be positive. So I'm okay with it. That's a chance I'm willing to take.
Awesome. And then I'll jump right into my wild card, which is going to be controversial. Minwoo Lee missed cut at plus 280. I am not rooting for Minwoo Lee to miss a cut. However, he is notorious for sucking in the last 3 years, missing 2 cuts, losing about 2.5 shots in the field. Now, I know this is obviously a wild card and obviously a weaker field than normal, but I'm taking a flyer because those odds are really, really good for a missed cut, especially for a guy that hasn't been known for scoring 20 under the last couple weeks here.
Yeah, if it wasn't Craig Ranch, I probably would have done the Siwoo Kim miscut personally in my wild card. But I know that's an out of pocket take for a lot of people, so we won't go down that route too much. But he's too good in Craig Ranch to really get off of. My wild card pick, you might be like, Walt Lee, why are you doing this? I'm taking Bryce Garnett, top 30 plus 300. Again, it's very similar to Puerto Rico. He won at Puerto Rico. This is more so just a theory on correlation that I want to look into more. Because I feel like Puerto Rico and Byron Nelson are very similar in terms of comp courses. So I want to know how closely in the future I can kind of correlate these two. It's really all it is. And I'm just using my wild card pick to go through and do that. I probably could have taken Bryce Garnett at his top 20 odds. I think they were like plus 210. But that's not fun.
You mean top 40?
Or yeah, his top 40 odds at plus 210. But I decided to have some fun with it and just take his top 30 odds because
he's finishing 31st now, right?
He may, and that is okay, and that is something I will accept. But again, this is more of a test wild card pick for me than anything else.
All right, so. My winners. Starting off with a guy who you almost apparently did a miscut bet on, yep. Siwoo Kim. There's not many events going forward that I think for me I would use Siwoo Kim 2 additional times. So I really like him in this spot. I think the irons, like I talked about, these big greens can really capitalize. And then I'm honing in on magic in a bottle here with Tom Hoagie. I think those 2 guys are a really good, back-to-back combo in terms of winner's pick for the year. Or for the week.
Again, I think Hoagie's a great one. And he rates out great and all the stats love him. Siwoo is just so hit and miss. Whenever I bet him, I know he fails me and lets me down. So that I know I'm not doing that for sure, but I get it. My winner's picks, I'm going Cashmere Keith Mitchell, and then my second winner's pick is going to be Robert McIntyre. Again, he's gotten into a little bit of form. I'm just trying to get ahead of the curve more than anything else on Robert because he's got the putter to do it. He's got plenty of distance. Are the irons going to come out?
We'll see.
Yeah. All right. So we are back into normal golf. This is great. We love that for us. We're no longer doing any really gimmicky tournaments for the next, couple weeks. But after this week, we're going to do the Wells Fargo Championship. But with that, let's leave you guys to it. Hopefully you can follow us on our bets and win yourself some money this week. But with that, we will leave you to it. Have a good one and make some money.
Deuces.
Deuces.